presentation. Thank you very much. We're going to proceed to the second technical panel discussion on how to catalyze change and close the gap of financing circular economy for climate benefits. So I'd like to call on stage, please, Mr. Alberto Mancuso, Executive Director and Head of AMI CIB International Network for Intesa Sanpaolo Bank, please. Mrs. Carol Sherfan Shufshani, Director of Arab Center for Climate Change Policy, Cluster Leader of Climate Change and Natural Resources Sustainability Cluster at UNESCO. Mrs. Jazala Hamad, Audit and Assurance Partner for Deloitte Middle East. And Mr. Maher Al Kaabi, Advisor to Group Chairman and Independent Board Member for Al Circle Group. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. Thank you very much for attending, first of all. So we've seen that finally circular economy is challenging the take, waste, linear model. And one of the enabler would be then technology and financing. So I'll try to be clear and ask you first, Mr. Mancuso, the first question. With your extensive experience in steering Intesa Sanpaolo Bank International operation, you have a unique perspective on the role of innovative finance in promoting sustainable development. Could you share with us how your bank is actually developing financing models to accelerate investment in circular venture? And how do you think Intesa Sanpaolo balance the imperative of risk management when it comes to long-term investment?
Can you hear me? Oh, good morning. Thanks. First of all, thanks, Ms. Lumina. I want to ask to remark and please give a chance to really congrats to His Excellency Abdul to invite us. Thanks to you, just to us. I'm such pleasure and also Ellen MacArthur because I'm here with a lot of, I would say, emotion because this, as Ellen was just highlighting, is a journey. So for, you said, what is the role of finance? What is the role of economy transition from linear to circular? Is the role of responsibility that a bank have to develop. We have started years ago because talking to, I don't know, Ellen, if I'm young enough, you talked about young people, but I think I still feel this as a role, as a citizen of this world, of this environment. The bank in Intesa Sanpaolo started in 2018, I would say, just adopting the principles of sustainability. Then we work a lot signing an agreement with the Hal MacArthur Foundation, 5 billion to deploy on the circular economy, because sometimes numbers and matters are how the finance have to act. That 5 billion have become 14 in the circular economy part, one of the major actors of sustainability in the global economy part. We then, with a lot of pleasure, even signed, as you know, a master agreement with the Minister of Economy here, just to be advisor and to absolutely be one of the partners of the transition to circular. So there is a lot we can say on the economy part, on the sustainability, on the public and private agreements I'm just mentioning, but it's for sure it's a journey that have to, for a bank in the responsibility way to act, it's how you adopt also technology and risk matrix factors. You can just announce as association to be circular. For a bank means how you describe the rules, how you always check that a company it's really deserve to be circular. What does it mean for us in terms of blockchain, adoption, measure, products, transition? The technology can become something that have to support what does it mean circular. Circular is not costless. Circular means that you have to see the journey in a medium term, but for sure, always all the research we know, at the same time, so you reduce the risk, you become more effective, and you become even more proficient in a certain period of time.
Thank you very much. Indeed, I agree with you, and right, we're going to be collaborating very soon. Now, my question is for Mrs. Shushani. Your leadership at the Arab Center for Climate Change Policy, you are at the forefront of shaping the future of governance of circular economy. So my question is, how might an organization such as the UNESCO is bridging the gap between policy makers and financial institutions to foster a collaborative environment for circular economy?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the gracious hosts of the UAE welcoming us here at the COP, at this grandiose venue. As the UN representative here on this panel, bridging the 2030 agenda with the Paris Agreement is fundamental. And when we're talking about circularity, we're thinking about SDG 12 for the beginning, sustainable production and consumption, and then also linking with partnerships. And that's what we are seeing here by the partnerships, the governance frameworks that the UAE and others are doing to bring different aspects of the economy, both public and private sector, together. But what I'd like to talk about in that production consumption cycle is there's the consumers who have to make good choices on what they want, and we think often about the end of life and how individual consumers, each of us can be part of that decision. In order to do that, we need information to make informed decisions. And then there's the consumer that is actually the producer, because it's not circularity in terms of looking at the end and how to reuse, but every input that goes into that circle is its own circularity. It's actually even a spiral, where if you can go spiral downward, if you're not thinking about your inputs in the chain, you're going to have more waste. And if you spiral upward with the circular economy, you have a value added that is created, opportunities, efficiency gains, etc. If I can then get into some strategic sectors. For example, solid waste. In our region, in the Arab region, I represent ESQA. We represent the 22 Arab countries in the region. 90% of our waste flows are still going to landfills. Now, I'm happier than having it all incinerated without being treated. So I'd still, we do have space. But that is opportunity, that is gold that could be mined in different ways. Then we think about food waste, food and loss, which I believe another panel is coming in. Food waste, we should only think again at the end of cycle, but in the beginning. When we're talking about climate change, adaptation, temperature changes, circular economy should not only think of the mitigation and the energy loss, but how about storing food and getting it from farm to transport? There's a lot of loss happening because the temperatures are increasing so much, humidity is increasing. Food is being lost before it even gets to the transport network. That is part of the circularity, making sure that things are not, that food, wheat, and silos are not being lost before they're even getting out to the market. So again, thinking not only at the end and at the beginning, but all the different processes in between, and where adaptation is part of the story here, and not only mitigation. The other side, of course, that we're all talking about is the just and inclusive energy transition with policies that can help promote renewables, of course, solar. The talk here is also that production chain, how we think about solar panels. And there's concern, well, there's so much lithium and cadmium and everything up front that could be done. But if we think about industries and opportunities for industries in our region elsewhere to extract those that are being used, we could reduce the extraction of more by 2040 by 10%. So again, creating new industries that can create value added and reuse is important, and we need policies to help encourage that, and the information again, so that consumers who are even engaged in renewables will have the information that even that can be recycled. And even that can be reused in the process. So the final point you were asking me about, and that's actually part of the Secretary General's initiative with UN regional commissions like myself that I represent, to help thinking about minerals and metals to move forward on a circular economy that helps the chain. And then the final point about finance you mentioned. We need to have, of course, private-public working together. We need to de-risk. We need to provide opportunities for investments and new productive technologies also. But we also have to recognize that in this region and most regions in the developing world, there's a lot of debt. So we have to find ways to be productive, that we can use debt swaps or bonds that allow us to be able to access and invest in the future without being lost by increasing the debt and losing the fiscal space where countries have to deal. It's fragile countries that we are in, having to have those goals as well as the climate goals met through innovative instruments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting indeed. Whether it's finance or tackling our waste challenges, we're all talking about efficiency. And like Mr. Mancuso said, assessing the circularity purpose or targets of companies or businesses is quite important now. And that's where I'll go to Mrs. Jazala Hamad. And I believe I would like to ask you, how could you see the audit sector supporting the investment or supporting circular business model development, and how the audit process actually add credibility to circular businesses, making them appealing to investors?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for hosting us. So for all businesses, interaction with investors is key. as they are concerned with understanding the value of the business in order to invest or divest, to make a decision. The information that businesses need to provide investors is not simply financial, whether it's about the past or the future. Also, non-financial information is increasingly, this is about ESG, so environmental, social, and governance information. There are established global sustainability reporting frameworks that have come into play that are developed to address the needs of investors and global markets and to add a global baseline for sustainability information, which are helping businesses report on their sustainability reported, that are helping businesses report their risks, opportunities, and impacts related to ESG. These insights help investors, again, to better understand businesses and therefore better evaluate them. These reporting standards have also included increasing guidance and expectations that these disclosures and reports should be audited or verified or certified by an independent third party to provide great comfort on the accuracy, completeness, and robustness of the information. The aim is, like financial information, is to have high quality, dependable information that is supported by external assurance and that enhances investors' confidence in the reported information. According to a study done by Deloitte, 73% of global investors say it's important that ESG-related matrices are independently assured. Now, the other area of confidence that investors are looking for is over the products and services that businesses provide and the sustainability-related claims that businesses are making. Okay, which also, again, impacts enterprise value. When a business makes such a claims, then investors are naturally skeptical. The concept of greenwashing comes into play, overstating sustainability attributes as well, reputational damage, loss of consumer confidence, regulatory fines are all potential negative outcomes. A circular business, by definition, is aligning itself to sustainability. And therefore, investors will want to know if its products or services are indeed circular and that their production process and its operation increases efficiency and reduces environmental impact. They want to know that the sustainability values or impact of the outcomes or the outputs, and whether in the production or delivery of and whether in the production or delivery of there are outcomes which negate the positive impact which the companies are making. And often these are provided by environmental experts or specialists through an environmental audit or certification. So the process of audit is whether we're talking about a certification over products and services or an assurance over the ESG-related information. They add a very important layer of confidence to the claims that businesses are making and support the businesses in their evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You did a great point. Like you said, so the audit sector will be a key support in preventing finally greenwashing. And my last question is for Mr. Maher. In your advisory capacity to El Circle Group and as a member of its board, you have a strategic vantage point on integrating sustainability into corporate strategy. So the burden now is on your shoulder. As a member of the private sector, and given your technology specialty, and that you're on the road to build your own AI and digital twin on sustainability matters, I'd like to ask you, how do you think digital economy can fuel the development of circular economy, leading to smart cities? Moreover, what recommendation would you have for other corporate boards and private sector here on embedding climate consideration in their decision-making process?
Sure. It's a very short question, but a long, very answer. I can see the time is really ticking very fast. If we can put the slides on. We need to recognize there are two really major trends going on globally: digital economy and circular economy, and the latter, or the former, will actually fuel the development of the circular economy. Without digital economy, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually pivot to the green economy. Luckily, in the group, we've already been in circular economy into verticals for a very long time, for about a decade and a half. So we have a certain waste management, couple of plants of them. Various is where we take the food establishment in terms of the waste being generated today. We actually treat it and we put it back into the economy. So it's a completely circular economy. So look at it, for example, the water which comes out of it, we put it for irrigation. The sludge which comes out of it, we actually make sure that it's treated and put into as a fertilizer. And the brown oil which comes out of it, we actually also treat it and we convert it into cosmetics. So for the ladies who are using cosmetics from this, I can assure you it's really, really healthy, no chemicals, and we also use it for soap manufacturing. So we realized, okay, what is it that we need to do next? If you look at the slides of what you call smart cities for it to happen, you have all the sectors coming in together for it to work. Whether it's AI, whether it's digital twins, whether it's IoT, whether it's renewable energy, and so forth. But for it really to work, I've been working for data for about 20, 30 years now, for my previous jobs, right? You need to have structured data, which is really in the cubicle ways. I've been in finance for 28 years, so we're in Citibank, so we're actually we used to get thousands of data in a year, like a lot of terabytes of data from globally. And how to structure this data and make it meaningful for you to make a decision-making process will be very easy. Give an example. Imagine policymakers today, they issue policies. They don't know which policy is really working and not working. So what do you need to do? With the data analytics and deep learning and AI on top of it, which is used very loosely, you'll be able to make sure the trends, you're actually monitoring it. You'll be able to get through a dashboard whether these policies are really effective or not on the environmental trends. So you'll be able to use it very comprehensively. This model has been there for a very long time, and it's evolving over a period of time. So what we said, okay, let's build our own LLM model, AI, for the waste management that we have today. We'll actually be able to access the waste faster through the dashboarding that we have today. But what's also important, how do we build factories in an efficient manner, which is Dubai is doing this. So the entire Dubai you see today, it's actually have a digital platform, i.e. basically a digital twin, which is a virtual twin of Dubai, a replica of Dubai in a virtual world. So you build it efficiently from carbon emission perspective, methane emission, what you call the traffic as well, manufactured, and then you bring it to the reality saying that this is how I want to build the city. We're trying to do the same thing for the factories that we have today, locally, regionally, internationally. So we're going to build up a digital twin for all the factories to see how best they can be fit. Then we'll put it into reality and we'll be able to monitor them through the IoT, the sensors you have. So you have real-time data of all the wastes happening. So you'll be able to see how can you reduce, I know we're over time, you'll be able to reduce in terms of your CO2 emission lively. You'll be able to make sure the methane, which is 10 times more actually harmer than the CO2 itself, you'll know how many waste is getting generated, what's happening in terms of paper usages and so forth. So this is kind of a quick nutshell, but this is a topic which will take hours to discuss.
Thank you very much. I would have much more questions, but time limitation. I'd like to thank you, all of you, for attending. And yes, a very important point. Computational policies, I believe, could make the difference in circular economy. Now, I'd like again to thank you very much. The last part will be the launch of the UAE Circular Economy Landscape Report by Mrs. Aisha Al-Abdouli from the Ministry of Climate Change, which I will ask you please to come on stage. Thank you very much. One last point, if you would like to reach to our panel discussion, to our panel speaker, please, you can reach us and we will share their contact details.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your Highness, Your Excellencies, it's really a pleasure to be with all of you today and to share with you the highlights of our Circular Economy Landscape Report that was launched in the last Circular Economy Council meeting back in October. So we are really happy to share with you the main highlights of this report. Of course, this report was collaboratively developed and written by the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment and our colleagues at the Global Green Growth Institute. And also, it was a great contributions from the members of the UAE Circular Economy Council. So when we did that report, it was a disk-based, a desktop research that we conducted, and there were, as I mentioned, great contributions from all of the stakeholders to actually feed it with their projects and initiatives that are aligned with the green agenda and the UAE circular economy policy. So let me share with you the main objectives of this report, and I promised that I wouldn't take much of your time, as we had focused in this report actually on three main objectives. The first one is actually to do a kind of a stock take for all of the projects and initiatives that are already in the pipelines or are already implemented here by our key stakeholders and that are already aligned with the UAE circular economy agenda and the circular economy policy. And the second objective was actually to celebrate the achievements and the accomplishments of those entities who had contributed heavily actually in this portfolio. And the third objective is a call for action. A call for action that is based on 6 main categories. So we need to focus our action in adopting circular economy on 6 main actions, which are regenerating, and by regenerate I mean the shifting to renewable energy materials. And then the second one will be to share, and through that we can maximize the utilization of the products through peer-to-peer, whether it's at the private level or it's at the public level. And the third action will be to optimize, and by optimizing we mean improving the performance of the efficiency of the producers themselves to produce their products in a more efficient way. And the fourth one will be looping, by keeping the components that we are using within closed loops. And the fifth one will be virtualizing, so to depend as much as possible on the virtual means of, let's say, having meetings or offices management or even online shopping. And the last one is to actually exchange by replacing the old materials by a new renewable materials that are really available now, and everyone can access those materials. So in order to have those actions in place, we need 3 more supportive enablers. And those enablers, actually, the first one is to update our regulations, update our policies to be aligned with the new market that we are going to deal with in the circular economy. And the second one will be actually to develop the necessary skills and build the capacity of the resources, raising the awareness of the circular economy principles. And the third one will be the finance and the incentives that needs to be in a place to actually encourage the entities and the different producers to follow this action. So I wouldn't talk much about that, and I would really like to encourage you to scan the QR and download the reports, because we consider it the first of its kind here in our country. It was just this year it's announced, and it's a very valuable knowledge product that will be for sure very much of that you can utilize it, and it will be add more knowledge to your experience. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a very good day. Thank you.